Namaste, and welcome to the Moon Yoga session of this month. So we're going to be getting a little bit into the hips, a little bit into the shoulder girdle, and Moon Yoga, for those of you that aren't familiar with my classes, it's very similar to Yin Yoga. I teach mostly in the knowledge of sun and moon, so sun being more a dynamic practice and moon being a more passive restorative practice. So this is a restorative slower practice. When you do moon yoga, with most of the classes actually you do need some props. But when you do moon yoga, it's more important. So we're going to have props like a bolster, like I'm sitting on, a couple of bricks, a belt, blanket for when you're in Shavasana. So just be aware that you need something like that. And if you haven't got that, then you can improvise with whatever you do have. Okay, so we're going to start in a kneeling position. And if kneeling is really uncomfortable for you, then just take a brick in between your feet or sit in a different position. We're going to start with a kneeling position, and then we're going to move into some moon salutations instead of sun salutations. So starting back, sitting back onto your heels, bring your hands in towards your heart. Lift up your heart, let your shoulders drop. And we'll begin with the chant of one Om together. So taking a deep breath in through the nose. Release your air out your mouth. And then after your inhale, one Om. And then bring your hands down onto your legs. You can have the palms facing down or up. We'll start some deep breathing in and out through the nose. Starting to get into long inhales and full exhales. Breathing deeply over the back of the throat, sighing the breath in. Long exhale, again over the back of the throat. Okay, with your next exhale, tuck the toes and fold forward so your hips are still down towards your heels. Fingertips onto the floor, elbows lifted off the floor. And then we're going to begin everything on the left side today. The left side of the body is the moon side. And we work mostly in yoga practices. We generally lead with the right. So today we're going to lead with the left, if I remember. We're going to walk the hands over to the left side first, and then walk the right hand a little bit further forward than the left. So we're stretching the right side of the body. Inhale, come back to the center, and then walk your fingers over to the right side. Walk the left hand a little bit further forward than the right, just stretching the left side of the body. And then inhale, come back to the center and sit back to your heels. So we're going to do some moon salutations. They're a little bit slower than sun salutations, but it's also a great way to warm up the spine. So sitting back towards your heels, take an inhale, and then exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come up onto the hands and knees, tuck the toes, and then exhale, lift the hips up for downward dog, feet hip width apart, hands shoulder width apart. Inhale back onto the hands and knees. Exhale, slide back to the heels. Inhale, come up onto the knees, hands to hips. Lift the chest, exhale, hips forward, shoulders back. And then inhale to sit. And we'll just keep going that way. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale onto the hands and knees. Tuck the toes. Exhale into down dog. Inhale, hands and knees. Exhale, slide back to the heels, forehead down. Inhale, come up onto the knees, hands to hips. Lift the chest, exhale, hips forward, shoulders back. Inhale to lift and sit. And then keep going, exhale, forward. Inhale, hands and knees, tuck the toes. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, hands and knees. Exhale, slide back. Inhale, hands to hips, lift the chest. Exhale, hips forward, shoulders back. Don't let the head drop back. Inhale, lift the head and sit. And then one more like that. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale on the hands and knees. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale, hands and knees. Exhale, slide back. Inhale, come up onto the knees, hands to hips, lift the chest. Exhale, hips forward, shoulders back. Inhale to lift and sit. So we're going to add a little bit to it. Exhale, forward. Inhale, hands and knees. Exhale, downward dog. So leading with the left side, inhale, lift the left leg. Exhale, left foot between the hands. Right knee to the floor. Inhale, hands to the sides. Exhale, lunge into the left knee. Inhale, lift your arms up, hands together and back. Exhale, arms to the sides. Inhale, hands to the floor, step back, but keep your heels lifted off the floor. Exhale, drop the heels down. Inhale, lift the right leg. Exhale, step the right foot between the hands, left knee down. Inhale, hands to the sides. Exhale, lunge into the knee. Inhale, lift your arms up and back. Exhale, arms to the sides. Inhale, hands to the floor, step back, heels lifted. Exhale, drop the heels. And then we finish the same way as we did before. Inhale onto the hands and knees. Exhale, slide back. Inhale, hands to hips, lift the heart. Exhale, hips forward, shoulders back. Inhale to sit. We'll do one more like that. Exhale, fold. Inhale, hands and knees. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale, lift the left leg. Exhale, left foot between the hands, right knee down. Inhale, hands to the sides. Exhale, lunge the left knee forward. Inhale, lift your arms up and back. Exhale, hands to the sides. Inhale, hands to the floor, step back, lift the heels. Exhale, drop the heels. Inhale, step the right foot forward, left knee down. Exhale, hands to the sides. Inhale, lift your arms up. Exhale, arms down to the sides. Inhale, hands to the floor, step back, heels high. Exhale, heels down. Inhale onto the hands and knees. Exhale, slide back. Inhale, hands to hips. hips, lift the chest. Exhale, hips forward, shoulders back. Inhale to lift and sit. And then just have a moment in a child's pose, forehead down, arms down to the sides. Just allowing the body to feel. So the moon salutations will start to awaken the spine and the joints. And then sweep the hands forward. So lots of these poses we're going to be holding for 2 or 3 minutes. And if you can't hold them for 2 or 3 minutes, then you hold them for as long as you can. So we're going to start with Anahata Asana, heart opening asana. So you need 2 bricks. You can do this on the floor straight away, but it's a good idea to have a little lift. And walk your knees so that they're not directly underneath your hips, they're back a little bit. And then bring the elbows all the way to the front of the bricks, palms of the hands together. And then start to allow your chest to come down to the floor, forehead down. And then just release into the pose and breathe. And what you'll find is in some of these poses you will feel some resistance. So instead of moving away from the resistance, we just stay at the edge of a stretch. So we're going to hold this for 2 minutes. Breathing, just allowing the upper back to move and the chest to move forward. And yes, you will find something happening in the shoulder girdle. Just lengthen your breath. Just another 30 seconds. Notice where you feel any shifting happening. Maybe you start to feel a little softer around the shoulders and the upper back. Okay, and then to come out of it, just lift your chest up. And then slide back towards your heels, arms down to the sides in a child's pose, so completely relax your shoulders. Roll your shoulders forward. So we need the counteraction to the action in these poses. And child's pose just gets us to acknowledge what just happened and to reset. Okay, and then sweep the hands forward again. So we're going to come into Gomukhasana. And you might need a belt with you for this one and a brick. So we're just going to start in downward dog, it's a little bit easier. And bring the left knee onto the floor in the center. Slide the right knee behind the left knee. And then sit back in between your feet. So if you need that height, you can sit on a brick. Have a belt with you. So the first part of Gomukhasana, we're keeping the sides of the feet into the floor, and we're starting to feel a bit of a release in the hips here. And then the first Gomukhasana we'll do as a traditional Gomukhasana. Gomukhasana means cow face pose. So we're going to take the left arm out to the side, roll the left shoulder forward, and then bring the left hand up the back. And then we lift the right arm up, bend the elbow, reach down and find the fingers. Now if you can't do that, that's what the belt is for. So you can take your belt back behind you. Some of you, if you've got very stiff shoulders, you can have a belt. And just hold on to the belt instead. So the right elbow is lifting up, the left elbow is back. We're planting the sides of the feet into the floor. So we can feel action in both the hips and the shoulders. Just going to hold that for 2 more breaths. And then release your arm, so the right arm will come up and the left arm will just come out in a diagonal. Bring your hands to the floor and let's go back into downward dog. So I'm going to change the legs the opposite way, so the right knee is down and the left leg is forward. So your right knee is on top. And this time we're going to take the right arm out to the side. So roll the right shoulder forward and then bring the right hand up back. And then left arm lifts up. And again, let me just show you this with the belt this time. Left arm lifts up. You can drop the belt down, or if you can find your fingers. And you'll find one side is stiffer than the other or looser than the other, however you want to frame it. Lift the left elbow up and the right elbow back. Press the sides of the feet into the floor. Breathe into it. If you feel like you can, if you're on the belt, maybe you can walk your hands a little bit further down the belt. Okay, and then release the belt. Stretch your arms out so one arm is up and the other arm is down. And then come back up onto the knees. And this time we're going to come into Virasana. So knees together, feet apart. I always use a brick in between my legs for this one. If you have the flexibility in your ankles or your knees, you don't need the brick, and you don't have to. What we do want to see though is that the feet, the top of the feet, are on the floor. So what we don't want to see is the feet turning out to the sides like this, because this has an impact on the inner knee. And instead of this being a comfortable pose, it tends to be something that's twisting the knee, and we don't ever want to cause any damage to the knee. So this next one, sitting in Virasana, which means hero pose, we're going to do eagle arms, so Garudasana arms. Take your arms out in front, and then let's just take the left arm over the right, wrap the hands around, palms together, If you can't do that, if you can't meet your hands, then again you can have a belt, or you can take thumb, little finger. If you can bring your palms together, then do that. And then lift your elbows up and take your hands away from your face. Let your chin come in. And we're going to take a little stretch of the left neck, left side of the neck. So chin in, and then take your right ear down towards your right shoulder. And then just move into that area that you know feels like, oh yeah, there it is, there's a good stretch. You can feel it lengthening. Stay there. And then lift your head up. Okay, and then release your arms out to the sides, big stretch. And then take your right arm over the left, palms together. So the elbows lift up and the hands come away from the face. Bringing your chin in towards your chest. And then rock the left ear down towards the left shoulder. So again, just find where you need to find that stretch. You can move your head slightly forward and then back, just to find the edge of that stretch. So much of our tension comes from shoulders and neck. And then release your arms, stretch your arms out. Good, so the shoulders have had a little bit of work. Just come up onto your knees, cross your legs behind, roll back over your feet. And this time we're going to take the feet apart, legs wide, for Upavishta Konasana. So Upavishta Konasana, wide angle stretch. We have about a 90-degree angle in between the perineum, in between the inner legs. We're going to, first let's come forward with the bolster. So have your bolster, and again if you don't have a bolster then improvise, but you need something quite solid. And we're just going to come forward and bring the forehead onto a brick. So again, something quite solid here, something hard. So if you don't have a brick, a book or something like that, but something that you can feel a solid connection from that object to your forehead. So keeping the legs working, the legs are still active at this point. That means the thighs are working. And then fold forward and let your forehead come down onto the brick or whatever it is you have, and let your shoulders drop forward. So keeping the legs active, that means the thighs are working, toes are coming back towards the face, and we're just relaxing the top part of the body. So the shoulders are relaxed, and that means keep your palms of your hands facing up. That will help to release the shoulders forward. So we're going to stay here for 2 minutes. Just taking long breaths. Allow gravity to do the work, allow the props to do the work, allow the breath to do the work. Another 30 seconds. Stay with it. And then holding onto the brick, slowly lift your head back up. It can make you feel a little bit head spinny. That's just a blood pressure thing, and also energetically we've had a lot of pressure on our forehead. And this is a really good way to eliminate headaches and migraines, is by bringing some constant pressure on this point. It's an acupressure point. So from here we're going into a side stretch, and we're doing the left side today. So I'm going to take my bolster along the left side of the left leg, and then take a belt around my left foot. Okay. So you're going to hold onto the belt with the right hand, and then just post the left shoulder forward and start to walk the right hand down the belt. But I want to get some support for my head while I'm in this position. So I can either take a brick and just bring my head onto the brick and walk my hands down, or I can take my elbow and just bring my head onto my hand. Just keep walking your hand down until you feel that stretch in the right waist. And we're just going to stay here for a minute for this one. So the rib cage is rotating up, the legs are solid into the floor again. Just feeling that stretch through the right waist, grounding down with both the legs. Okay, and then slowly coming up, so release the belt, lengthen the belt, and we're going to change sides. You can take the bolster over the left side. You can also have the bolster this way. It might feel a little bit more secure. So take the belt around the ball of the foot, and then holding onto the belt with the left hand, the right shoulder posts forward. And your left arm, you're trying to get your left arm up and over your left ear, and this is how we're going to get so much more into the left side of the body. And then again, just support your head. So whether it's with your hand or a brick, find something that you can bring your ear down onto, so your neck is not doing any work. You don't want the neck to feel any strain. So the left hand just walks down the belt towards the foot. Just lean into the right side and let the left side lengthen. I find these sideways stretches really delicious. Just a little bit longer. And then start to slide the hand up the belt again, come back up, and just do a little microphone adjust. Okay, so the next one, let's just move the bolster to one side for a moment, is a little bit of a hip release. So bend both of your knees and lie onto the floor. And ideally without any hairbands getting in the way of your neck. And just release the back of your head onto the floor. And take your left foot, cross it over your right knee. Bring your right knee in towards you and hold on to the back of the right leg. Now, some of you can go a little bit deeper, and if you are doing that, you can just hold on to the shin, or you can just hold on to the back of the leg. Keep your shoulders dropping into the floor, just starting to feel a kind of tugging sensation. I feel this in my left hip, but also around the left hamstring. Flex your left foot as well, so you do feel it in your hip and you don't feel it in your ankle or your knee. And then lift the leg up. And start to do some circles in your ankle. Just slowly moving the ankle joint in the opposite direction. Okay, and then bend your knee, bring your foot onto the floor. Slide your left foot on top of the right knee, stretch your arms out wide. And we're going to roll the knees over to the right side. Just move my block out of the way. And if you want to go a little bit deeper into that stretch, you can take your right hand over your knee and just draw it down towards the floor. You're going to look along your left shoulder. So we're getting that stretch all the way through the left side of the body. If that feels a little bit too firm for you, you can also support your knee with your hand. So sometimes that feels quite too much of a stretch. And in this practice, yes, we want to stretch. And we want to find some length and some space throughout the body, but we don't want to go to a point where we're dislodging something so much that it's actually causing more harm than good. So find that point. Notice with a little bit of time how everything starts to soften, all the connective tissue. Okay, and then release back up, release your foot to the floor, adjust yourself, bring it back in the centre of your mat. Move this bolster to one side a little bit more. And then we'll take the right ankle over the left knee and draw the left knee in towards you, holding onto the back of the left leg. So this also is a really good one to release sacroiliac joint. So that's the point between the lower back, the lumbar and the sacrum, and the top of the pelvis. And that's where often people get sciatic pain, and it's those two joints rubbing together when they shouldn't be. And when they do that, they impact the nerve that runs from the lower back down into the legs. So that's why sometimes people feel pain in the lower back but also down their legs. Maybe they feel a numbing sensation in that area. So this is a good one to release that space, open up that space. Good stretch in the gluteus muscles as well. And then lift your left leg up. Arms come to join us. And start to do some circles with your foot. So slowly easing around your ankle joint. And then in the opposite direction. Then bend your knee, bring your foot down. Slide the right foot on top of the left leg. Stretch your arms out wide. And this time we're going to roll over to the left side. Keep the right shoulder down to the floor. Look along your right shoulder. If you want to, again, deepen it, then you can take your left hand over your knee. Or you can just let your body take some time. Don't force it. Gravity will do the work. Letting everything soften and open. And then roll back up. Release your feet to the floor. And then just hug your knees in towards your chest. So this time a more kind of centered and even release in the lower back. Cross your legs over at your ankles, roll up to sitting. Okay, so our next one will be using the bolster again, our trusty bolster. I'm going to have the bolster in front of you. And we will start with the left side, the left hip into the end of the bolster. Bend your knees and take your right leg on top of your left foot. So like you're kneeling but your feet are over to the sides. Okay, and then we're going to come down over this bolster, but this is a twist. So this is a restorative version of Bharadvajasana. Bharadvajasana, normally we do this with the hand behind and staying lengthened upwards towards the sky, but this time we're going to come down over the bolster and have that bolster supporting you around the stomach. And then turn your head over to the left side and just relax your shoulders. So knees are down, legs are relaxed. Your head is turning the opposite direction to your knees. So no matter which way you went, if you went a different way to what the instruction was, then just make sure your head is turning the opposite way to your knees. I'm going to stay here 2 minutes on each side. This is a really beautiful restorative twist. sleep in this one. And press your hands into the floor to come back up. So we're going to turn the other way. And this time, the right hip is into the end of the bolster. And then the left leg is on top of the right foot. So your knees are apart. The bolster comes in towards the right side. And then we're going to come down onto this bolster, turn the head to the right side, relax the shoulders. Two minutes here in total. You can also do these postures and set a timer for yourself to make sure that you're getting a full release each side. Don't hold on to anything when you're in these poses. Try to completely let go. Just another 20 seconds. to face the front and come up. Okay. So now we've twisted, we can move into a back bend. And we're going to do a back bend using a brick. So we'll do Setu Bandhasana bridge pose using this brick. If you don't want to use a brick, if the brick is a little bit too high for you, you can also just come onto a bolster or cushions, whatever it is you have. So first we're just going to come up and down. Feet underneath the knees, feet hip width apart. Arms down to the sides, and just lift the chest up and gather the shoulder blades underneath the back. And then press your hands into the floor, take an inhale, lift your hips up. Lift your hips up as high as they will go, and then lift your heels up and slowly lower down from the top of the spine to the middle, to the lower back. And then bring your heels down again, and we'll do that again. So inhale, lift your hips, lift your heels, and exhale, slowly lower down. And then the last one, we're going to lift the hips up, and this time take the brick. So I'm going to have this on the tallest edge, and we will have this so that it is vertical along the spine, not horizontal. And then it's just going to release around, or hold you around the top of the sacrum and the lower back. So somewhere around the tops of the buttocks, but also the lower back. And try to find that support along your spine. And then just allow your arms to drop down. So when you're here, it's really important to let go of the buttocks. So I'm going to relax everything around the glutes, the buttocks, arms down to the sides. And just release into this solid surface. So relax your thighs, relax your shoulders, release the muscles in the face. Everything is soft, but you are feeling there is a back bend happening here. If this is too high, you can go lower, or you can just simply come up onto a couple of cushions. Something that you are getting a back arch that isn't causing you, it's bringing you a stretch, but it isn't causing you damage. I'm going to stay here for another minute. You're going to feel that stretch around the rib cage and the pelvis. But a softening, hopefully a softening around the lower back. So coming out of this, lift your heels up and lift your hips up a fraction, just to allow your lower back to come down. So we're going to start again from the top of the spine, the mid back, the lower back, and then hug the knees in towards the chest. Okay, and then cross your legs over at your ankles, roll up to sitting. Okay, so I'm going to take my mat to the wall, which involves a little bit of manoeuvring of the camera as well, because I need the bolster. So I'm going to upset my cat by moving her off the bolster. So you need to take the short edge of your mat into the wall. Short edge of the mat into the wall. Let me just adjust this. Hopefully you can see. Yes. Okay. And then you will need a bolster with you and a blanket, because we will go into Shavasana after this. Are you coming with me, Charlie? No. Okay. So your bolster is going to be down to the side of you. And we're just going to sit on the mat and take the side body into the wall. So this is Viparita Karani. We're going to take the legs up the wall and then lift the hips up and move the bolster underneath the lower back. So I quite often call this the best pose in the world. It really is the best pose in the world. We want to move this bolster, so that it's supporting the lower back. And then lift your legs up the wall, but soften your legs and let your shoulders just drop down to the floor. You can also just do this on one of the bricks. I need to be a little bit closer into the wall, really. But making sure that the bolster is at least supporting your lower back. And then relax, shoulders down. Relax your hands as well. Take any tension out of your hands, out of your face. Just allowing all the blood and the lymphatic fluid to drain into the lymph nodes. And some of the lymph nodes are around the pelvis. So Viparita Karani, what is it good for? It's good for lowering your blood pressure. It's good preventative against varicose veins. So if you're somebody who works in a job where you're on your feet quite a lot, when you're on your feet quite a lot, the blood and the lymphatic fluid have more work to do, because we're constantly moving around the circulatory system or around the lymphatic system in a vertical position. So this is an inversion, and any inversions reverse that process. So we're literally just taking the pressure off the circulatory system, but also the muscles. And yes, lowering the blood pressure, lowering the heart rate. So if you find you get anxious or stressed, this is a really good one to help with stress. This can also help to aid sleep. So if you do this for 5 minutes before you go to sleep, this can help. And generally, this just calms us down. And helps to relieve any pressure in the lower back. And you can just keep your legs quite relaxed and your arms. So we'll do a little variation from here. We're going to take the legs wide into Upavishta Konasana. If you don't have a wall near you, you can always do this just freestanding. So having the bolster underneath your back and just lying on the mat with your legs up. It's easier with a wall, but if you don't have a wall, then you can do it anyway. Just let your legs go wide for Upavishta Konasana. And then bring your legs back up again. And we're going to do a supported shoulder stand from here. If you don't feel like you want to do a shoulder stand, you can just stay as you are on the bolster. If you're doing the supported shoulder stand, you're going to bend your knees and bring your feet onto the wall. Lift your hips up. Take your hands onto your lower back so you're supporting your lower back. And then just walk your heels up the wall. So heels are on the wall and supporting your lower back. So again, this is a nice inversion to do without putting so much effort into it. Just make sure that your hands are around your hips and your lower back. And then we're going to slowly lower down, and this time I'm going to move the bolster to one side and lower down to the floor, keeping the legs up the wall just for a few moments more. Always checking in with yourself, checking in what's happening, what's changed in the body. Okay, so you can stay here for Shavasana, or you can bend your knees, roll to one side, come back up, and then move into Shavasana so you're lying on your mat. And I'm going to use the bolster underneath the backs of the legs. I have an eye pillow here for my eyes. Let's make sure I'm not too close to the wall. When you're using a bolster in the backs of the legs, make it so that it goes up towards the buttocks. I'm also going to take a blanket today. So be warm and cozy for Shavasana. We'll do a short Shavasana for this, but you can always do a longer one if you want to pause the video. So when you come down, make sure you're coming down and let your feet drop out to the sides. And then, yeah, if you have an eye pillow or something, you can put that over your eyes. Get warm and cozy. And then just relax everything. Relax your legs. Relax your hips. Relax the buttocks. The bolster underneath the backs of the legs also helps to root your lower back into the floor, so you can feel a softening around the lower back. Relax your shoulders and your arms. And again, just acknowledging all the places where you've had a deep stretch today. Relax the muscles in your face. Release your jaw. Feel your eyes move into the back of your head, like two small pebbles dropping down to the depths of the ocean. Even releasing the lines around the forehead and the eyes, the ears down to the floor. Release, release, release. If you need to pause this video and relax a little bit longer, then pause it now. Begin to move your fingers and toes. Gently rock your head from side to side. Stretch your arms back behind your head. And stretch through to the tips of the toes. And then hug your knees in towards your chest. Roll to one side, letting your arms support your head on that side. And then when you're ready, come back to sitting. So coming back into a seated position just for a minute or so. One of the things you can do with a bolster is to straddle it, so you can have the bolster in between your legs and straddle. So I thank you for joining me for today's practice for the moon yoga. And I hope you have a wonderful day, whatever it is, if it's the beginning of the day or the end of the day. with an acknowledgement that yoga helps. So bring your hands in towards your heart. We'll finish by chanting 3 Oms together, and Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So deep breath in, cleansing exhale. After your inhale, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Namaste. Thank you for joining me. Until the next time.